So today's another big day. The last big day was assembly day. Now we're going to put front hubs and wheels all the way around and take it for a ride. So I'm still lacking the sheet metal for the front. I still need to finish up the front shutters here before I can install the grill. But other than that, we should be good to go today. So this will kind of be a time-lapse video with a voiceover like before. Except for the test drive. Alright, first off here we're going to install the front tires, well, hubs and tires. Got to jack it up with my sketchy rig there. Kind of a funny story. The spindle nuts that hold those boards in place. I looked all over the shop for those the other day. I could not find them anywhere. Then I finally went back to the tractor to see what thread size it was to see if I could match something up and realized I had it there. So that was a fun one. So here I'm getting all the hubs set up and put some gloves on because I'm going to pack the bearings. The bearing packer I have not used in probably 10 years now. It was all cracked and dried up, so doing it kind of old school. So I pretty much go ahead here and pack both sides so I can get it over with, and or at least get the dirty part over with. Alright, also going to fill the hubs with as much grease as I can. On the back side of these I actually found a modern seal that seems to work instead of the felt seal that originally came on them. If I'm remembering the size right off the top of my head, it's 1.5 inches inside diameter, 2.5 inches outside diameter. So I'll just go ahead and prep the second hub. So these bearings, they fit a little tight on the spindle shaft. The spindle shaft looks like it's been worn and welded and ground back down. I smoothed it out pretty good, but I still had to tap it in place a little bit with a hammer there. So here we pretty much tighten the spindle down like normal. So we're going to run it in tight till it compresses all the bearings, spin it a little bit, and then loosen it up. So we got a nice free spin. Then grab a cotter pin and lock it down. In this case we throw the cap on it. I'm just going to put the cap as tight as I can get it by hand. I'm not really going to put a wrench on it, so it shouldn't be a problem. We're going to get the wheel put on there. So there's my dad. We just happen to wear the same shirt this day. Allis Chalmers shirt, imagine that. So he's trying to keep the rim off of the hub so we don't scratch it up while I start the bolts. So this is the first wheel we get on this thing. It is almost a tractor now. This is about the time it started getting exciting. At least for us. I'm sure it's still boring for the video. Let's see. So obviously we don't tighten it down too good. There's not much weight on it. I'll go around and tighten everything down after that. And we're done. Spin it for good measure. Alright. So at this point we jack it up higher and do the same thing on the other side. But you can't see that, so that's real boring. So we'll skip it.
Man, look it just right, the light doesn't hit that hub bad.
Alright, now it's time for the back tires. So first thing we're going to do here is get a couple of the rim clamps and install them on the hub. Two of them are going to be solidly mounted and two of them mount to an eccentric. The bolt itself is like a cam. I don't have any close-ups of this, but there's a ton of pictures online if you need them. Alright, so we are going to take this hub and place it into the tire, and of course, I guess into the rim technically. Of course we make a couple scratches along the way, but that's what touch-up paint's for. There's my father-in-law Chad on the left joining in for the fun. One thing we did notice while doing this is one of the rims was an aftermarket rim. It's a lot thinner than the original, and when you tighten the cams down it flexes the rim a lot. We could tighten the cams all the way on those, and on the solid rim we could only turn the cam about halfway. Alright, I have to get the tractor up pretty high. Here comes Chad with a tire. Right about here is where we realize how tall this thing is actually going to be. I have not seen it in 20-something years sitting on level ground beside me. It's when we resurrected it, it was buried in the dirt. When we towed it here and had it on the driveway, the tires were low, so I never really saw it at full height. Got to make sure we're on camera, don't we? Okay, so because we're jacking this tractor up towards the center and the rear end can teeter back and forth, Chad's on the far side, putting some weight on that side, holding it down. And Dad and I are trying to get the splines to line up on this thing, so it's a little tricky. It takes some finagling and moving it around, but we get there. So got a new, well not new, but cleaned up lock washer and axle nut, and then the axle nut socket that I built the other day. This thing's a lifesaver. I've test drove this tractor a few times since then and tightened it up a little bit after each test drive just to make sure. Alright. So it turns out I had to reposition the jack to get it up high enough for the other side to work. The other side actually went on a lot easier. Wasn't too big a deal, but it's pretty much the same as this side. I sped through most of it there because you can't see much anyway. There we go. First time it's sat on all fours in a while. Oh, there's the socket I built for the axle nuts. Really comes in handy. Alright, we'll set the air pressure right. They were actually a little over full. Let some out. We went a little bit oversized on the tires for width. These are 24 by 11.5. Alright, we're almost ready for the first test drive. Now it gets real exciting. Got to top off the gas. And this is where they start making fun of me for using a rag to catch all the drips from the gas. They're telling me I've never done that before. Oh well, saving the paint. So now it's time. First time it's moving under its own power. and over 25 years. Probably 28 years at this point. Only thing I've noticed through all the test drives is a little bit of clutch chatter. Alright, what sounds like a miss is actually a hit-and-miss engine running next to it, so ignore that. But this is his first time seeing daylight since the restoration. Trying out first gear at this point. Time for second. And third.
Yeah, amazing. Ha ha ha.
Alright, here's a first person test drive. That old familiar gear sound. That gear whine's a lot louder on camera than it is in person. But it seems to always be there on these old tractors. Here we go for a run up the road. So I guess that's another milestone. It's not completely done. Dad says he wants to be the first one to drive it once it's completely done. So once I put the last part on and it's totally done, it has to sit till he gets over here to run it. So stay tuned. That'll be the next big video.